Joining us now, Dale Bellis. Dale is the executive director and the all-around guru and founder of Liberty HealthShare, libertyhealthshare.org, a health organization that is not part of the Obamacare rat race. It's basically self-funded by its own members, and it's a share. Everybody shares in everyone's cost. I've been a member. I have to say this again. My family and I have been members since 2011. We've been members for 7 years, going on 8 come March, I think, when we first enrolled. So coming up on 8 years being in it. By the way, the good thing about Liberty HealthShare, there's no enrollment period that comes and goes. You just enroll whatever you want. And it's been a godsend to me and my family. I've told you this 100 times. If you work in the gig economy or you're 1099 or you don't have Medicaid or Medicare and you own business or you work for a small business that doesn't really provide good insurance, or you're screwed going on these exchanges, with $10,000 deductibles and $1,000 premiums, get out and go to Liberty HealthShare and just go to libertyhealthshare.org. Just ask for a quote. That's all. I mean, how easy is that? It'll take you 5 minutes. They'll ask you a few questions. Everything is there. They're going to get back to you. I tell you what, you're going to think it's too good to be true. Now, you're going to go on the internet and you're going to find people that are disgruntled. Look, if you went and checked on vanilla ice cream, some people don't like it. It's just the way people are on the internet. They serve hundreds of thousands of members, and you got a handful of people that didn't like this or didn't like that. You're going to find that in anything. Hey, why don't you Google my show and look at all the hate mail I get on a daily basis, right? It doesn't matter. I have a great program every day. But you're not going to make everybody happy. But Liberty HealthShare for my family has been great. I'm not in a network. I don't have to pick my own doctor, my own hospital. Everything is there, and it's reasonable. And I love the fact that I get to share in it with everybody else. And I know this is a foreign concept to people because it's individual liberty. It's liberty. It's I choose, I decide, and I get to see when I pay my share every month, I get to see exactly who it's going to and for what. I like that. I like to do that. I like to be helping people. And when I need it, somebody sends it to me. You just send the money in, not to a person. It gets allocated. You see where it gets allocated. You can say, well, thanks for helping me out. So it's a great organization. I think it's the future, but we'll have to see, right? And joining us now to break down what this Obamacare implosion means is Dale Bellis. Dale, a good friend of mine. He's the founder and now the executive director of Liberty HealthShare. Dale, good to have you with us, man.
John, thanks for the...
Dale, I always love talking to you because I have such a good time. But before we get into your organization, Dale, you're sitting there in Ohio, right? I mean, you got to be kind of fired up about Cleveland, right? I mean,
we're fired up, absolutely.
You got to be fired up.
Absolutely. To be sitting here after a 0-win season last year, how embarrassing is that? To now be at 6-7, almost a 500 season. We face the Bengals this Sunday. I believe that's going to be a win, so we'll be at 7-7, but we won't get past the Ravens, unfortunately, in my view. So we'll end up with 7-8 and be out of the hunt. But what an amazing comeback from an otherwise 0 season.
I know 0, and the season before that, I think you won 1 game, I think. So, 2 games in a 2-year period. And basically the franchise just a disaster. But you got a new coach now. But I love this Baker Mayfield. I love this young fella.
Spectacular young guy. Absolutely.
I love him.
And he's just electrified the entire team, shown a great deal of leadership and steadiness, and it's just been astonishing to watch him play.
And you guys went through the Johnny Manziel debacle. I mean, all the stuff you guys have been through. I feel for you. I'm a Titans fan, but I feel for you. I do, because, we've been through some tough seasons recently. Now we're, we got a shot to make the playoffs also. But the other thing is I love about him, and then we're going to get into Liberty HealthShare, but he made a comment after playing the Bengals, what was it, the first time? It was like 3 weeks ago when I said, boy, this guy's really, really going to be something special. And your former coach, what was his name that went to the Bengals? They fired him?
Whoever. I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah. Anyway, he was your coach for 2 seasons. He got fired in the middle of the season. and he was out of work a week, and, rightly so. The Bengals got 2 games coming up with Cleveland, so the Bengals hired him as their defensive coordinator, special assistant, because he knows the playbook. I mean, look, Bengals are trying to win games, so they hire him. Well, after the game was over, a lot of the Browns players went to hug him, and, he'd been there for 2 seasons, and Mayfield wouldn't shake his hand. Walked right past him, wouldn't shake his hand. And they're like, well, why? That was kind of rude, Do you have a problem with the guy? It's like, no, I have no problem with it at all with him. As a coach, for me, I got no problem. But here's my problem, right? For the whole season, he's in the locker room telling us to play for him and that, he's the guy. He gets fired, and now he's on the other sideline trying to beat us with our plays. I just don't feel like talking to him. I thought that was such a great quote. All right, let's get to Liberty HealthShare. Dale, a judge in Texas, shooting down Obamacare. I mean, the thing's in chaos now. What's going to happen?
Well, the 5th District Judge, Reed O'Connor, shot it down because of, John, the words of Congress and the words of Chief Justice Roberts. He simply reviewed what they themselves said about the intricacy, the need for the individual mandate as the linchpin for the entire ACA law. That's what Congress said. If you get rid of the individual mandate, the entire law fails. Judge Roberts, when he ruled that the law was constitutional, went through some somersaults and said Congress has no right to levy a requirement to purchase insurance, but they do have a right to levy a tax on the uninsured. And so this judge just simply said, if you remove the tax, that makes the individual mandate to fail. And if the individual mandate fails, then based on what Congress themselves said, then the entire mandate causes the law to fail. So therefore, it is unconstitutional. In the words of Shakespeare, they've been hoisted on their own petard, John. They themselves said this, and the judge just simply ruled according to the strict interpretation of their own words.
Which is basically, it is no longer a tax, right?
Precisely. Well, the tax has been removed by Congress, dialed down to zero.
Right.
And his rationale simply is, by removing the tax, you remove the individual mandate. If you remove the mandate, then the law fails in its entirety.
So now what happens?
Well, there's been just hysteria all over the media by those so worried about what will happen with uninsured, with those with pre-existing conditions, etc. We all need to realize that whenever a person purchases an Obamacare policy, it's not issued by Congress. It doesn't come to them from the federal government. This is all regulated by the individual states. Many of the states have even incorporated the requirements of the ACA in their own state regulations. And so insurance continue. The ACA is nothing more than a regulatory plan, a regulatory scheme for the way in which health insurance is purchased and sold in America. And so it will continue and will go back to the states as it should always be, and it was prior to the ACA, and the entire insurance arrangement being federalized, and now becomes the debate. To what extent and what degree do we want the federal government to intrude on our choices regarding the care of our health?
Exactly. I mean, you basically summed it up. And so this is going to have to be and so now the president is talking about going to Congress and creating another, I guess, son of Obamacare or daughter of Obamacare to be sex neutral. I guess another or a gender neutral Obamacare, whatever it is, but creating another one. So they're going to create another one.
My recommendation is that they all sit back, take a deep breath, and bring some wisdom to this discussion. because Obamacare has failed. Left recognizes it, the right recognizes it, and in fact, both sides of the aisle now own Obamacare. It's time to pause and ask that central question. To what degree do we want the federal government to provide oversight and regulation for health care? And whether that should, in fact, be, as it historically has been, the right of individual states to regulate. There's an entire bill that's been proposed on the Hill to essentially take all of the spending of the federal government in subsidies and return it as block grants to the individual states based upon population, and allow the states to use those funds to create an environment within their jurisdiction for how they best feel healthcare should be organized and regulated, which is really federalism. That is, pushing it back to the states, allowing those individual 50 jurisdictions to determine their own futures for the purpose of what is best for the people, with certain guardrails. This proposal is that protects the uninsured, that assists with those with pre-existing conditions, but gives flexibility, choice, and freedom in health care. That's what should happen, and Congress should pause and decide how best to accomplish that.
You know, Dale, we've been talking about this for several days, and that was the best in-depth analysis on what has happened to the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, with this judge ruling that I've heard in America. You know, I appreciate you coming on the John Frederick's Radio Network. I really do, to share this and your perspective with our audience. But you really should be on Fox News and Friends in the morning, and then, you know, Hannity at night.
Well, kind of you to say.
I mean, because that, look, I've talked, your grasp of this and the way you explain it is spot on, and I appreciate it. Now, let's get to Liberty HealthShare. Look, folks, if you work for the federal government or a state government and a county government or a big company, and you're getting, you know, your burden for providing health care for your family is subsidized by your company, and that's part of your wage package, I get it, okay? I get it. So it isn't for everybody. But I'm telling you, if you have to go on the exchange and buy this yourself, if you have to negotiate with your insurance agent and find out how to take care of your family or yourself if you're single, I got to tell you, if you're in that position, I really want you to check out Liberty HealthShare. I have been with Dale's organization for 8 years. 8 years. Dale, that's a long time, since 2011 when this whole thing started. And I was forced into it because my premium went to $1,100 a month and my deductible went to $10,000 for a family of 3. I didn't have that. So I was faced with either paying the fine and not having any insurance at all, or paying the $1,000 and not having any insurance at all because he had at a $10,000 deductible. So either way, I was going to pay the government $1,000 a month or somebody and get nothing. I memean, that's the position that I was in. Coupled with the fact I didn't have $1,000 a month extra because it was like $525 or something. I just didn't have it. I went to Dale. I've been there with my family of 3 since 2011, and it is, I tell you what, my experience has been a 10. You've got to check this out. If you're in a position where, especially if you just missed the exchange thing, it's, you know, it's over now, and you're either don't have insurance or you're stuck with a bad plan, 855-585-4237, 855-585-4237, or go to libertyhealthshare.org, libertyhealthshare.org. And I'll tell you the other thing, Dale, because everybody, when they ask me about your share organization, they ask about, you know, how much is the premium, which is the share amount. You got to do the right words and things of that nature. But they never ask the key question, which is, do the people care? Do the people in your company care? And that's the thing that we have found have been amazing. I mean, I have never had a phone call not returned. Somebody answers the phone. You don't hit 8 buttons, speak English or something. Somebody answers the phone. And whenever we've had an issue, it's resolved immediately. And I go to my own doctor, my own hospital. And I just don't know. I mean, I'm an advocate because I'm on it. And it's like, I don't know why everybody isn't on it, Dale.
Well, the reason for that, and I thank you for that compliment, John, because our focus is on the reality. It's not what we as an entity, an organization do. It's what the members accomplish. And so we exist to facilitate the paying of each other's medical bills by the members, and we're here to facilitate, empower, and enable the membership to accomplish that $32 million every month that goes to pay another member's bills. And that's what we're here to accomplish and do, and that's our constant focus.
And there's no bureaucracy. That's the whole thing. There's no bureaucracy. There's no 8 people in the middle processing forms. I mean, you go to your doctor, you have a procedure done, and I've had, over 8-year period, I've had a lot of experience right on the downside. You got things that go wrong with I'm 60 years old now, Dale. Things go wrong. So you go to the doctor, and so does Ann. She's younger than me, but you go to the doctor. You got to go to the doctor. But here's the great thing about it also is Liberty HealthShare protects preventative care. So even though you have a share amount to meet, I forget what the exact wording is. What is that? The wording for that?
It's our monthly share amount. That's correct.
Right.
And our annual unshared amount. So when we have a medical bills, we're responsible. If you're a single, for the first $1,000, or a family, $2,250, we pay out of our pockets, and then the members begin sharing 100%.
Right. So you get the share, but your preventative care visits are completely funded by the share. So
we share that 100%. You're exactly right.
100%, because they want you, they want me to go to the doctor and get my checkup, right? They want my wife to get
because
the
our focus is on healthy living, being health conscious and health aware. Absolutely.
Yes. And then every time I go in and get my annual checkup, well, I go more than annually, but I go to my doctor, and you know how you have to, Dale, get on the scale. And every time I get on the scale, he looks at me and he shakes his head. I don't think that's a good thing. I got to go. John Fredericks Radio Network. Liberty HealthShare. Go to libertyhealthshare.org. 855-585-4237.